Welcome to the Gathering Greenhouse, a podcast to help us grow together.
Nailed it.
Yep.
Nailed it.
We are here, and we are going to start out with something fun. Yeah.
Do you think the reason you nailed the opening today is because John's not here?
No.
I think. Do you think
John is someone who makes me feel comfortable?
I think maybe he makes you
here.
nervous.
Matt's neutral. I don't know if he makes me nervous or uncomfortable. I mean, maybe you make me more.
But I'm here, and you nailed it.
Yeah.
John's not here, and you nailed it. So I think it's John that makes you nervous.
Yeah.
I think you're trying. You're trying so hard to impress him.
I don't know if I feel nervous. It's just, it hasn't. I don't know. It hasn't been trained to my memory for whatever reason. That's why I write it down.
How many have we done?
40 now, right? Is this number 40?
No.
I think it was 39 last time.
Really?
I could be wrong about that. It was in the 30s. That
can't be right because we're not 12 weeks from the Chili Bowl, right? The first one was the Chili Bowl.
I don't know. Matt's looking it up.
I don't think we're that high.
Okay, maybe we're not that high.
We're on episode 31.
Okay.
That makes more sense to me.
All right, 31.
All right.
I thought it was 39.
All right. So what are we doing today?
So we've been talking about biscuits a lot early on. And I wrote it in my notes to get some biscuits.
All right.
And I decided that we should do a biscuit taste test.
All right.
Biscuit
Did you
sandwich.
know my kids
Yeah.
almost every Saturday morning have
Yeah.
breakfast at a place that's called Biscuits.
Biscuit. Oh, just biscuits.
Just Biscuits.
I was wondering if it was Biscuit World because that when you travel, sometimes you see that on the highway.
That's not a very Portland sounding place.
No. Biscuit World.
That sounds like something in the middle of Wyoming, right?
That's probably where it is
There's
located.
going to be a lot of gravy.
Yeah.
Which would be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got 3 of their more popular biscuits for us to try.
Now, where are these from?
So this is from Hardee's, which is also Carl's Jr. Or they're the same restaurant.
Also a truck stop place.
Is it?
Oh, yeah. There's
Okay.
a lot of, like the Loves and the Pilot stations often have a Hardee's attached to them.
So I got 3. This one is called the omelet biscuit. Okay. And then I have a sausage.
So these are like sandwiches.
Biscuit. These are sandwiches. They did have other biscuit things, and this one is a bacon, egg, and cheese.
I thought we were just going to be eating biscuits.
No, this is the
my
biscuit.
favorite one.
This
Bacon,
one is.
egg and cheese.
So I'm just gonna go ahead and do a 3-way split here. Can I do 3?
Yeah, no, just like that, and then do 2 angles from there.
Okay, I can handle that.
All right. Isn't this how you learned fractions in elementary school?
I was never good at fractions.
All right, well, let's work on fractions for a second, okay? So here we have how many pieces?
I did just wash my hands, so you don't have to worry
All
about
right, so how many pieces do we have? Wait, no, leave it as is for a
3.
minute. We're going to do fraction work.
Yeah.
All right, so you got 3 pieces, right? And the 3 pieces make a whole.
Yeah.
So right now you have...
1/3. I'm just trying to... Is that what you're going for?
No, right now you have 3/3.
Yeah.
Now I have what?
1/3.
All right, yes.
The thirds are easy. It's when you get into more and then you have to add fractions.
And you have...
2/3.
All right, and now in a minute you're
I don't struggle with that.
Well, you said you didn't do well with fractions.
Yeah, not the
I mean,
easy
this
ones.
doesn't... They're the same. Doesn't
Okay,
matter
Matt,
how
you're
many
gonna have to come
pieces you
get
have.
yours.
Or
You want
wrap
this?
it up
Oh, and toss it.
and throw it.
Oh, that's even more fun. I like where you're going with this. And Matt caught it. Good job.
It was a good catch.
Okay.
It was not your best
this
throw.
is Matt's favorite. So we're going to rank these here. We'll start with Matt's favorite. So, you don't have to eat the whole thing if
I'm
you don't
not
want
going
to.
to, yeah.
Just take a bite.
I want to get the most cheese.
Okay. Okay.
I want to look at the bacon. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Very, very thin. Is that what you're looking for?
I think it's that Oscar Mayer pre-made microwave bacon.
So first off, what do you rate the biscuit as? What do you think the biscuit is?
It's not a bad biscuit, right?
A
Not
little salty, maybe.
Yeah. I always think it's funny. You expect me to be like really good at
I know.
identifying
I'm
what I
just-
taste, and I'm like, it's not dry.
It's not dry.
To me that's basically what I'm like. Yeah, it's not dry, and the texture's all right.
All right. Well, that's good.
But yes, I think there's a little bit of salt in there. All right, now which one is this?
Matt, what do you think?
I rank it pretty high.
Pretty high. Okay, we'll see. We'll get your opinion on the one I'm most excited
here.
about is the omelet one. Oh yeah, I don't need to get it up.
What we ought to do though is maybe just have a little bit of biscuit by
Okay,
itself
that's a
and
good
kind of
idea.
see how that goes down.
just the biscuit.
That is a pretty good biscuit.
It's a good biscuit.
Yeah.
You're right. That was a good idea.
I mean,
I think it's almost better as a biscuit.
yeah, they maybe need to just go straight to
They
the
do.
biscuits.
They do. So,
Okay.
you know,
It reminds me of a Bob Evans.
maybe a little bit saltier than a Bob Evans,
Yep.
but it's kind of got that taste. And
Yeah.
I do.
So-
That's a compliment to
No, we've
Hardee's.
talked about this before
Yeah.
on the podcast.
Right.
That when you go to Bob Evans, you get the biscuits, but you have to
At
order
center
of
Yes.
the pan.
I haven't done
yeah,
that.
if you get
but
the edge of the pan, they're
now you're
burnt.
making me want to go to Bob Evans. Okay, let's try
All
this
right.
next one. This is
Okay.
a sausage, egg and cheese.
All right.
Okay, Matt's already saying. I would agree, Matt. It was good. I like that one.
All right.
I think the sausage has a pretty good flavor.
Yeah. I mean, people know I love bacon. Mm-hmm. But I actually think sometimes on a sandwich,
Yeah,
sausage is better.
I would agree
Yeah.
with that. Mm-hmm. I would agree.
I think the sausage works there.
so. This,
They need better bacon. That's the issue, though.
I would agree, but it is Hardee's, and I want to say it was only like $4 or something.
Right, you're not getting thick cut.
No, no, you get what you pay for to some extent. Okay.
And they don't have time to actually cook the bacon,
No.
to order.
No, they don't. But I will say there was not many people at the store. There was not many people in
I don't
line.
even
And
know where there
it
is
took
a
forever.
Hardee's.
It's right by the mall. It's really close to the Dayton Mall.
Oh, and like on 741?
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. That's right
Close to
by
Hobby
me.
Lobby.
Yeah. Okay.
You try this one too.
So this is the
This
omelet.
is omelet, and it I don't know what makes it an omelet, honestly.
So look,
This-
see how
this
that
is
it's spilling off the side. You see that? You can see the
Yeah,
omelet.
okay, I see it on that one now.
But when you look at it from the inside of the sandwich, it just looks like sausage, egg, and cheese.
Yeah, look at mine. Mine looks
So-
completely different here. So
Yeah.
it kind of depends on the bite of what you're gonna get.
Interesting.
I want to cut into the omelet. I want to see like
Yours looks the best
a
there.
cross section
honestly.
of the omelet.
Yeah,
here.
see what's
we
in
go.
there. So you got
Okay, so you've got like bacon bits
Yeah. Okay.
and cheese.
Yeah.
Maybe even ham.
All right.
All right. We'll see how this goes.
I definitely get a different flavor profile in that one. I like that one too.
It's good, but you know what? This biscuit was a little more burned than the other ones, and so I wonder if that impacted the sandwich.
All right, Matt. What's your choice? What's the number one? What are you going with?
He put his away. Like
He ate all of his. He downed them already.
is he going to come and eat ours when we're done?
Who knows?
I can. But what's
Do you have any
funny,
more
too-
napkins? Or is that the only one that was in the bag?
Did I hog all the napkins? That was the only ones in the bag.
All right, just give me the bag. All right,
I should have thought of that.
Dan.
The
All right.
funny part about this is that for breakfast before coming here, I made my own
Actually, this
egg
one didn't get used.
and cheese biscuits.
Oh, okay.
No joke.
Did you?
Wait, did you make the biscuits yourself?
No.
Were they like you buy the biscuits, or did you make like Pillsbury biscuits?
I bought frozen
Frozen. Okay.
biscuits. I would say Hardee's.
Did you thaw them? Because you don't want to chip a tooth.
Right. So Hardee's.
Matt did not laugh. Just for the camera, Matt did not laugh at all
Yeah, I
to
think
that.
that's
I thought that was funny.
So Hardee's biscuit is better.
Okay, Hardee's biscuits better.
My favorite out of these three is the egg, sausage, and cheese.
Okay, egg, sausage, and
But-
cheese is a number one.
But I prefer my egg.
Okay.
What do you do with your egg?
Salt, pepper, and butter.
And do you just like you like make it in the pan and then put it on the? You don't have one of those. Have you seen those things where you can make the whole thing and then you just put it in the microwave?
Yeah.
and it-
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
I've never tried one of those, but
Okay. What's your? What would if you had to pick one? What would be your favorite?
It's
unanimous.
Sausage, egg, and cheese.
That was
yeah.
to me. That was the best too. Okay.
And I'd
We
put
all
the,
agree on something.
I'd put the bacon one last.
Yeah.
Only because the bacon wasn't good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bacon was so.
I would agree with you too, but I don't know if I would have to eat the whole omelet one. I might eventually grow tired of that one. But
That's true. I'll say this: the biscuits were good,
yeah,
so better than any McDonald's sandwich.
yeah,
Yeah, but still not as good as the croissant sandwich.
yep. True,
So,
true.
Yep.
But the line, I was saying earlier, the line took forever, and there was no one in the store, and there's only one person in the to-go line, and it took an extremely long time. And I was thinking they're going to get this big order. No, it was like the bag was a tiny bag. It was like the smallest bag that you could get.
Maybe that's why it's so small that they're having a hard time making it.
I don't know what
tweezers to make
the person in front of me ordered, but it wasn't much, so it was an excuse.
Now, what do they do for sides at Hardee's?
I don't know. I don't eat at Hardee's ever, so I'm not sure. But I will say this: they had like monster breakfast sandwiches, which was enticing to me, but I didn't want to go with that. Because the difference between the monster and the other ones, you just got more toppings in the middle. Mm-hmm. Would that be toppings? That'd be middlings, not toppings. But it had more stuff in the middle. So it was like a Big Mac of breakfast sandwiches. And then they also had biscuits and gravy. They had a good deal. Okay, if you're into trying it there, they had a 2 for $5. All right, you could get the sausage, egg, and cheese was in the 2 for $5. French toast and biscuits and gravy. You could pick 2 of them and get it for $5.
Now I'd be really wary of the French toast.
Yes, it kind of looked like Burger King French toast. If you remember that at all,
those are not good.
If you like that kind of thing, I don't think they're that bad.
Then you're a psychopath.
I don't think they're that bad.
Oh, they're terrible.
I don't think they're that bad.
Steve just gave me a really good.
Matt's getting hungry.
I didn't know.
I mean, I love French toast, but the
2 for $5.
The Burger King French toast sticks, I thought were one of the worst things they've ever done.
If you got them
like
fresh
worse than
enough,
the chicken fries.
Okay, the chicken fries were terrible. I completely agree with that. I might slightly defend the French toast sticks.
I don't know.
Okay. Shall we get into
do they do a hash brown at Hardee's?
I don't know. I didn't even look at that. I was just solely focused on the biscuits.
I'll tell you who's got the best breakfast hash browns.
Who has the best breakfast?
Oh, Chick-fil-A.
Oh,
they get those little round ones. So good. Yeah.
Oh.
I don't know.
Those with the chicken minis. By the way, I put this biscuit above Chick-fil-A's biscuit.
I agree. I don't like
which is not great.
It isn't. I'd say I also don't like their coffee at Chick-fil-A. I'm not a Chick-fil-A coffee fan.
No, I don't think it's the best.
No, I don't like the sweetness that they put in their.
Well, they're Southern.
Little biscuits.
Everything's sweet in the South.
Matt's got an update here.
So Hardee's has hash brown.
Hash brown? Well, that's similar
probably
to.
the same thing,
I should have got those.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's pretty much the same thing.
All right.
Same thing. Okay.
I think what we need to do sometime is do a taste test. Like pick one thing
You go to multiple places.
and then see if we can guess which is which.
That would be fun. Like a blind taste test? Okay, we can let Matt go out and do that.
Yeah. It'd be like when George Costanza's candy bar got stolen at the auto dealership.
Yeah. No, it didn't fall out. And then
somebody stole it. Yeah. And he made them all do the taste test, but he actually just had the same candy bar for everyone.
That was a good episode.
Yeah, that was right in the sweet spot of Seinfeld. There were a couple years where it was just out of this world good.
Yeah. I agree. Okay.
All right, I'm moving this.
So I'm gonna finish mine later, I think.
That's good. Thank you for breakfast.
You're welcome. Okay. So we got some questions this morning.
We're just gonna dive right in.
We're gonna get right in. We're gonna head into it. So this past Sunday, very large crowd, right? It was awesome Sunday.
Maybe for the last time.
No, not for the last time. I don't think. We'll get into why you think that in a minute. But, just a reminder, one thing I noticed on Sunday, because our team, first off, shout out to the Connections team, because they did a fantastic job.
Good job, Connections
on Sunday.
team.
Absolutely did an amazing job. But one thing I noticed is that people still aren't quite comfortable like sitting in the same row with someone else. I'm not even saying sit next to someone. I'm just saying
in the same row.
What if you went in and instead of saying, let me pick my own row, okay, I know that there's going to be at least one chair in between me and the next person. Right. That would actually help us out tremendously.
So I actually saw this happen.
Yeah.
So I don't remember which service it was, and I don't know who it was.
We did not have an empty row at all. We had room, but not empty rows.
So across the middle of the worship center, there's 4 sections, and they all have 5 seats per row.
Yes.
And so there was 2 people sitting on the inside of one section.
Yeah.
So there were 3 seats to their left.
Yeah. Yes.
And in comes another couple.
Right. And
they looked at those 3 seats.
Yeah.
And then we're like, and it sat in the row behind them. So now you had 2 here and 2 here.
That's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened.
What we would love them to do is go up to that row, and they don't have to sit next to them.
I don't. Yeah,
I'm off camera with my hands, aren't I?
we understand that everybody wants their comfort zone. That's fine, right? We're not arguing that.
So let's pretend that you're sitting down in church.
Yes.
And I'm walking in.
Yeah.
And I look at your row, and it's me and Marianne, and there's 3 empty seats. So I'm not going to sit right next to you.
Right.
But I don't know who you are.
Yeah.
So I'm going to walk in, and I'm going to say, "Hey, you mind if we sit here?"
No, I would love that.
Cool. I'm David.
I'm Steve.
Now, stop right here. If you're uncomfortable with this, there's other ways to do it, like this. Oh, hey, I'm David.
Oh, okay. I thought we were going to do
we're gonna work our way down.
Oh, okay. This way.
Yeah, I'm David.
Hey, David. Come sit by me.
How many times I get to do this?
Okay.
Or
so you
if
don't have to do it that
you don't
many
even want to do the
times.
fist bump, then there's this. Hey, I'm David.
Hey, David. You want to sit here?
No, we already talked. We'll start from the beginning.
Hi, David.
All right, hey, is anybody sitting here?
No, there's not.
You mind if we do?
Come on, sit down, take a seat.
Thanks, partner.
Take a load off and join me.
All right, hey, I'm David.
Hey, David.
No, you're supposed to tell me your name.
Hi, I'm Steve.
Look, if somebody tells you their name, tell them yours, unless you don't want them to know. So, let's switch. You tell me your name first.
Hey, I'm Steve.
I'm in the witness protection program.
I cannot. I've been informed by my lawyers to remain silent.
All right. You get the point.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, look for...
Sit close to someone. Not too close, but close enough where we want to leave. The more open rows we have, the more when someone comes in, it feels like there's room for them. And that's what we're going for. We want an inviting environment for others. And especially people who may be newer, they want to come in and make sure that there's room for them. So if we want to make room for others, sit in the same row as someone. That would help us out tremendously.
Yeah, and you know what might happen?
You might make a friend.
Yeah, you might actually discover, hey, I really like this, but you guys might end up going out for lunch together.
Hey, we both like sitting in the second row to the front. You know,
hey,
maybe
let's go to lunch together and leave a chair between us there, too.
Yeah, that's a good idea. You know, do you ever sit on the same side of the booth with your wife? Or are you on the opposite? Do you sit on the other side when you go on a date? So Maria does not, I always want to sit on the same side, and she's like, that's weird. She's like, that's weird.
She's right.
And I'm like, no, it's not. I'm married to you. I can sit wherever I want. Not in a mean way.
Why are you the
not
boss?
In a mean way. No, I'm not saying it in a boss way. I'm just saying commenting to the world, not to my wife.
So I'm married to her. I can sit wherever I want.
Right. The world, listen up. You know, saying that hey, I am allowed to show affection to you. I don't care what other people think.
Right. You reach a certain
I'll hold your
point
hand,
where you don't care if
I'll
it looks
kiss you
weird.
in public, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not concerned to what extent other people think of me.
I don't like to do that for 2 reasons.
Yeah.
One is when I'm talking to somebody, I want to look in their face.
Right. Your
neck, I want to be eye to eye.
Crink in your neck. Do you say that? A crink?
Is it a crick? Crick?
A crick in your neck if you got to go like this.
Yeah. Yeah. The other reason is I always have to be able to see the door.
You got people who are you like Wyatt Earp or something where you got you got people who might come try to look out for you?
You never actually. Wild Bill Hickok died because he wasn't facing the door.
I was just in Deadwood where he got shot. So
yeah, he almost always sat facing the door, but for some reason nobody really knows why.
No, I know why.
Why?
This was a live reenactment, so probably based on folklore. But
he asked somebody to switch with him, and the guy wouldn't.
The guy wouldn't. He said he had a hot hand, I believe, at a poker table, and he did not want to give up a seat.
Or Wild Bill did? Oh,
the guy did. He was walking in, and he really wanted to have that seat, and he didn't, and he got shot in the back of the head.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a shame. That's why I always. That's why I always.
Too soon. He died too soon.
That's why I always want to face the door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And my whole family knows that. So whenever we go out to eat, they always, if I drop them off at the door and I go park and then I come in, there's always a seat waiting for me where I can see the door.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you are paranoid. Gotcha.
Well, it's also my way of protecting them, right? If something's going down, then I need to be the first one to know.
Yeah.
Because I got to protect them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Okay. So, shall we get into some questions this morning about the sermon?
Absolutely.
All right. First one here is, we were talking a little about Baal.
Yeah.
B-A-A-L.
A-L.
B-A-A-L. I was going to do That would be ball. The 2 L's. That makes no sense at all.
Not Christian Bale.
Not Christian
Christian
Bale.
Bale.
That's Bale.
Okay.
Which also is bale of hay.
Baal.
And there's also Bail.
And Baal was
which is to
a
like
god.
bail something out, like
Right.
bail water out of a boat, or
None
bail
of
a
those.
person out of jail.
This is a god that the people worship during
It's
that
really
time.
a Canaanite god.
Canaanite
yeah.
god. Okay. So, what do you think are the most common idols people worship today? And I want to say before you answer that, I did listen to your sermon this morning, and
How fast?
on 2-speed, it
Okay.
just sounds better at 2-speed, 2 times speed. I got up early this morning and went for a walk, and I listened to it there.
Sometimes when I'm preaching,
Yeah.
I get talking a little bit fast. And I think to
slow.
myself, I'm going to try to talk even faster so that when Steve listens to this at
2
2
times
speed,
No, it sounded
he won't
good.
be able to understand.
It takes your brain like about 10, 15 seconds, and then you just hear it normal.
I always watch your video first at 2 speed. That way it gets my brain
Yeah,
going.
good
By the
idea.
time it hits the sermon, I'm good
Good
to
idea. Good idea.
go. Don't listen to the music at 2 speed.
No, it sounds terrible.
John sounds like a chipmunk.
It does. But I was going to say that the idol thing was where I was most challenged personally, because I'm like, you know what? There's definitely some idols in
Yeah.
my own life of like, I need to. That's something I want to like take more time to think about and just challenge in that area. So, what do you think? Let me get my question up again. Do you remember what I asked you?
I think what are the idols most people deal with or something?
What are the most common idols people worship today?
Okay. All right. So we're going to see a lot about idolatry.
Yeah.
Because that's a big...
And it's a
Big
big word. It's a
topic.
churchy word. So
It
let's
is.
explain what an idol is first for people.
So here's our idol to Darth Vader.
yeah.
Right. So in the ancient world, people would build
So-
representations of their gods, right? And then they would go and worship at those representations. Most cultures had lots of gods.
Yeah.
Which is by the way, this is interesting.
Yeah.
Because there are no ancient cultures that had no gods.
Yeah.
So what we can say from that
Yeah.
is that people have, for all of history, had in their hearts a sense of the divine.
A God-shaped idea
yeah.
within them since the
Right.
beginning of time.
There's something out there that's bigger than me and better than me, to whom I am somehow responsible.
right. Regardless of civilization and culture,
Yeah.
all societies in since the beginning of written time that we know about have all had some sort of God.
Yeah.
I think that is really important to say because that is one of those things that say, well, all these people come from all these different areas that didn't talk to one another. They all came up with a similar idea. So therefore we can say, hey, there's probably some truth to this if they're all coming up with this independently. I think that's important.
Yeah. Now, to some degree,
Yeah. So
we can trace that back to Noah, right?
Right.
Because Noah had 3 sons. His 3 sons all would have known about Yahweh,
Yeah.
the one true God. Now, his 3 sons didn't all follow Yahweh,
Yeah.
so they passed on to their descendants some different version of that.
Yeah.
But, over time that was lost, changed, it evolved. But yes, I think it's really important to understand that all cultures have false gods.
Okay. So is an idol only something you worship as a religion?
Yeah,
Or can an
good
idol be
question.
something else?
An idol can be anything that you give your life to.
Okay.
Right? So
Give a section of your life to or a majority of your life to, or is there a
Yeah.
distinction there?
I think there is. So I think the first 2 commandments help us with this. So the first commandment is only one God, right?
Yeah.
Thou shalt worship the Lord your God, no other gods, right? The second one is don't worship false idols.
Yeah.
And so that seems to be you must worship the true God, and then the second command is don't replace him. So I would say an idol is anything that replaces our full worship of the true God. That means there's a lot of things that can be idols.
Yeah.
So anything that distracts me from being devoted to God is an idol in my life. And so obviously at that point you say, well, there's a lot of idols. And it's not just about these things carved out of wood. For us, it can be a lot of things. And we identified last week, not this previous week, but 2 weeks ago, I gave 3 tests of idolatry. One being, what are you depending on?
Yeah.
And I actually would say this is probably where most of us should look first to say, what are we depending on? Because most people are depending on themselves because we idolatrize ourselves, as all of human history has. We're dependent on ourselves to make money.
Yeah.
So that we can have more and have what we want, so that we can, have what we need. If you ask some guy in the street, hey, who takes care of you?
Yeah.
What are they going to say?
Me.
They're going to say me. If you say, how do you take care of you? They're going to say,
I work.
yeah, I work to make.
I earned it.
I work to make money,
Yeah.
so that I can take care of me. I can take care of my family. And I think this is what God is getting at in Hosea. In Hosea 14:8, which is the second to last verse, he says to Israel, I'm the one who takes care of you. So he starts the verse by saying, I have nothing to do with idols. I'm the one who takes care of you. Because Israel was depending on themselves. They were depending on surrounding nations. They were depending on false gods to take care of them. And so ironically, that's where Baal comes in. That Baal is the god of fertility and prosperity. And so when they look, this is a rural culture. It's an agrarian culture. So who's going to give us our crops?
Right.
Well, the god of fertility and prosperity is. So we got to sacrifice to Baal. Well, the truth is God gives the crops.
Well, I feel like that's also very telling of if Baal was that of a powerful god that everybody worshipped, and those were the specific characteristics of Baal, it's pretty easy to assume what was the most important thing in those people's lives.
Yeah. Exactly. And so then we transfer that into today. I don't think we care so much about fertility anymore.
Yeah.
And we, as a culture, have kind of gone the opposite way, right? Like back then, it was like, have as many kids as you can because a lot of them are going to die and they're going to take care of you when you get older.
Right.
And now we're in a world that says, have as few kids as you can.
I'm still banking on that a little bit. No.
Which one are you banking on?
Both, but... I'm always like, are you going to, I changed your diaper when you're little. Will you change mine when I get old? And of course, my kids are like, no, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah. I've already told my kids when I get to that point, I'm just going to get on a boat. And
the Vikings?
Yeah. No, I don't want them to shoot me with an arrow with a flaming. I'm going to be alive.
Oh, okay.
But I'm going to get on a boat and I'm just going to take off into the middle of Lake Michigan and they'll never see me again.
Are you going to live on the boat for a while, or what are you going to do out there?
Who knows?
Okay.
It's kind of like the ancient...
You going to take a book with you?
I don't know. It's kind of like the ancient warriors who just walked into the wilderness.
Okay.
And then that was that. So, anyways, that's kind of morbid.
Okay.
All right. So how do we get... Oh, taking care of.
Yeah.
So our culture is not so much about fertility as it is prosperity.
Yeah.
And so I think that the idols for us often have to do with prosperity.
Yeah.
Right? What's going to bring me prosperity? But there's a second really big one, which is pleasure for us, right? Just whatever feels good, chase after that, do that. So we talked about dependence. We talked about distractions.
Yeah.
That's like distractions are whatever feels good, whatever looks good.
Well, I've also heard that in society in general and humans that we move towards pleasure and move away from pain.
Right.
And so just us people in general, that's what they do.
Mm-hmm. And we'll do almost anything to get the pleasure we want.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, there's a reason why we have an opioid epidemic in America. And there's a reason why, there's this massive push to legalize marijuana everywhere, right? No one's arguing, marijuana is really good. Everybody should do it, right? Everybody's arguing. It's just, it's not a bad thing. That's the big, there's really no harm in it.
Yeah. Are we talking specifically like recreational?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm going to get on a hobby horse there, and I want to do that.
Well, I'm just saying there's medical, like Ohio is medical, right?
Right. But it's on the ballot this year.
For recreational.
Yeah.
Okay,
they want to have, there's going to be a measure on the ballot this year that's going to just legalize it across the board for everything.
Similar to some other states.
Similar to that state up north.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Anyway, so those are our idols: prosperity, pleasure, and then maybe pride is one. Just idolizing myself, and then like relationships, being liked, being popular. Those are our idols, and we sacrifice to them all the time. Anytime you choose to chase those things instead of pursuing your relationship with God, you're idolizing them.
See, I think to me one of the biggest idols that our society has and me personally, I'm not going to exclude myself from this, but is like coveting what you're like, wanting what your neighbor has. Because to me, the biggest sign of this is it doesn't matter how much money you have, everybody's broke, right? So it's not like once you make over $100,000, life is great. No, people who make that amount of money or even beyond are still living paycheck to paycheck.
Right.
So it really doesn't matter how much we make, it's never enough.
Correct. Yeah. I don't think it's accidental that the first command is worship God only.
Yeah.
And the last command is thou shalt not covet.
Yeah.
Because really what God is saying is here's what you need to desire.
Right.
And here's what you need to stop desiring.
Yeah, it is very true. You won't stop desiring more until you say, I have what I need.
Yeah.
I am thankful and grateful for what I have. God is the one who has provided that for me. So I am grateful, and God has given me that.
Yeah. And if I can, if I can cultivate my heart's desire to long for God, to know him, to be like him, then there's really no more room for coveting.
Yeah. So. Well, I've also heard it said that, the friends that you should seek are the ones who can be happy for you when something goes well in your life. The people who root for you in those, because the people who don't, who, secretly may want to see you fail so they look better, is not someone who truly wants the best in your life, or they don't have a life that's content.
Yeah. And if you want to be really convicting, you say then, and that's the kind of friend you should be also, right?
Yeah, right.
That if you're the kind of friend
absolutely,
who, if you can't be happy for others when they're happy.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point.
Yeah, I mean, because how often are we tempted when something good happens to somebody else, not to be upset about that, but to just be like, why doesn't that happen for me?
Yeah.
Right?
Can we do that with sports teams too? Because I feel like that's
you guys had this conversation when I wasn't here on a podcast.
I think we did. Yeah, you're right.
About the Reds and the Cardinals and the Cubs.
Yeah.
And the answer is, I think I agreed with what you guys kind of came to the conclusion of sometimes, right?
Sometimes.
Like, I don't root for the teams down here all that much.
When I have a friend that I like and their team does well, I'm happy. I'm happy for them.
Yeah.
But when it's a team that I don't necessarily know anyone, or their fans are like arrogant, then I find it much more difficult to be like happy for them. I'm actually like watch the game so I can see the close-up shots of their fans in pain.
Like I'll be happy when Ohio State wins football games most of the time. I cannot be happy when Michigan wins, no matter what.
Okay.
I cannot.
It's hard, yeah.
And it's largely because of what you just said. Their fans are so obnoxious.
I know. That makes it really difficult. It does. Yeah.
And I have a lot of friends who are Michigan fans.
I bet you do. I bet. Is that the overwhelming amount of fans for college sports is Michigan fans in Michigan?
It really depends on where you're at. Where I'm from, it's split about 50-50 because you're not really near the two. If you're in Lansing or surrounding Lansing, then you're a State fan. If you're in Ann Arbor or surrounding Ann Arbor, you're probably more of a Michigan fan.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So this next question is a little more serious, but I think it's important to talk about because it was part of your message on Sunday, and I think it's a good one to give you a platform to say a little bit more about it because on Sunday you only have so much time.
Yep. And I used it all and then some.
You did. You definitely did. Believe me, I was watching it. No, we didn't have.
She's back in the boat.
No, I'm more concerned about parking, but parking wasn't an issue. I went out and checked it, and we were fine. But anyway, the question is: on Sunday, were you saying that abortion is an idol that people worship?
Oh, that's a great question.
Okay,
that's a great question. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the kind of nuance that you often don't get into in a sermon.
It's hard to get into that. You want to be as clear as you possibly can.
Yeah.
So you pick some issues that it's going to take some time to really get into the clarity of it. You may not have the time to be able to do that.
Yeah, because in the sermon on Sunday, abortion wasn't the main point, right? That wasn't the main topic. The main topic was, God's plan for how to restore us and how to forgive us and those kinds of things. But there was a section in the sermon. So if you haven't seen the sermon, there was a section in the sermon where I talked about abortion. And I drew a parallel between abortion and the child sacrifice that was going on with Baal. I'll say more about that in a second.
Yeah.
But, that part of the sermon was only about 4 minutes.
Yeah.
And then I spent about another 3 or 4 minutes talking about how should Christians in America respond to that.
Yeah.
Right? So about 8 minutes in the sermon was spent on this topic.
Yeah. Which is a good chunk of time.
It's a good chunk of time in a sermon, but it's not a good chunk of time to get into a topic that's obviously really, really complicated.
Yes.
So back to your question. Is abortion the idol? And the answer is not really.
Yeah.
So the picture is Baal worship.
So it's not a no.
It's not
not really.
Let me unpack. Yeah,
Okay,
let me
okay.
kind of dig it out because
Okay,
there's
there you
some
go.
nuance there, I think. So in the Old Testament, the Israelites were often chasing after false gods. Baal was the one they most often chased. Molech is another one. Baal and Molech may actually be the same god. Historians agree and disagree on that.
Okay.
So, but both Baal and Molech demanded child sacrifice, right? I mean, they didn't because they're not real.
Yeah.
But the priests of those religions demanded child sacrifice. And the idea was, if you sacrifice your child to these idols, you're demonstrating, your trust in them, your belief in them, your loyalty to them, and then they will reward you with fertility and prosperity. So the idea is, if I want to be prosperous as a Canaanite, I have to kill my child. And if I kill my child, now I can be prosperous, right? And when you think about it in those terms, all of a sudden it begins to look a lot more like abortion. And here's where, I spent time on this on Sunday, and we should do it here too. We don't want to minimize or oversimplify what abortion is, right? It's a really tough decision. So any woman who has to make that decision, they agonize over it. It's stressful. It's anxiety filling. It's the most difficult decision they ever make in their life. It's complicated. It's painful. It's all of those things. So we don't want to oversimplify that, right?
Well, I think the point that you made on Sunday, where you're saying no one rushes into that decision,
right?
There's not a single person who's like, "Oh, it's an easy decision,"
right?
No one's going to say that.
Yep. So having said all of that, I want to be careful not to oversimplify. But I also don't want to shy away from observing there's a parallel here, right? In that abortion has become, in our world, something that is done for convenience. And I know that sounds horrible to say that. And people would say, it's not a convenient thing, right? But that's convenience in a big sense, right? Because maybe it's, I can't afford to have a child right now.
Yeah.
Or it's, this is going to destroy my career.
Yeah.
Or it's, my husband won't let me have this baby.
Yeah.
That's a reality some women face, is they get pregnant and their husband says, I don't want another child. Now, what do you do?
Right.
And so there's all of these things.
What if you say, I couldn't raise my child to the standard that would be good for them? What if it was something like that? Would that lie under the same?
I think any answer, what it comes down to is you're saying, life will be different if I have this child. And I think life will be better if I don't, right? And for whatever reason that may be.
Yeah.
So essentially what you're saying is, for me to have this life instead of this life, the cost of that is my child.
Okay.
Now I'm making an assumption here.
Yeah.
And my assumption is that baby is alive.
Yeah.
I think that's a good assumption. I think it's a science-backed assumption. Like, I believe in science.
Right.
And I believe that if there's a beating heart and there's brain waves, I think that's a live being. We know someone's dead when their heart's not beating and their brain's not working. So I think if their heart is beating, the brain waves are working, I think it's alive. So when I say, the death of a child, that's what I mean by that. All right. So all that's background, right?
Yeah.
So the idol is not abortion. The idol is life here instead of life here.
Yeah.
Which could be convenience. It could be prosperity. It could be relational peace, right?
Yeah.
Like it could be a lot of things. But essentially what you're saying is, I so desperately want this thing here that I'm willing to do anything to get it.
Yeah.
Which is, for the Israelites, it was, we're so desperate to have fertility and prosperity that we're willing to do anything to get it. And so we will, instead of trusting God to say, hey, this isn't something I expected to happen, right? But I'm going to trust that God knows what he's doing and that he has a plan and he can work this out. Instead of trusting God and saying, I'm going to do what's right, even though it's painful, the Israelites and what we do is said, I'm going to take this into my own hands. I'm going to chase after these idols here.
Yeah.
And to chase after these idols, I'm going to have to end the life of my child.
Okay.
Now, there's an aside here, and we'll actually touch on this briefly in a couple of weeks, that, when I said in the sermon, the number one reason why women say they had an abortion, and I can't cite the source, but it's a 2023 source, is I can't afford a baby right now.
Well, you're saying you have a source, but you can't just remember off the top of your head.
The number one reason is I can't afford a baby right now.
Yeah.
I think we should hear that as Christians. and we should say,
what can we do to help?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. We're doing that already.
Yeah.
Now, we get pummeled in the media and by politicians who say, you're just pro-birth, you're not pro-life, you're not doing anything for moms. That's not true. Every city in America has churches, nonprofit organizations that have a wealth of resources for women who come in and say, I'm pregnant, I can't afford this baby, what can you do? They will help them. Ranging from providing the supplies they need, the education they need, the health care they need, and then beyond that, once the child's born, helping them get what they need to, furnish that kid's room, clothes for the kids, diapers, food, all of that. That's available. And you don't have to go very far to do it, but you just have to be willing to deal with Christians. Yeah. Right? All that up to and including adoption, right? Yeah. Where there are so many people out there who are willing to adopt a child that, someone who says, I can't afford to have a baby. Okay, you can have the child, put it up for adoption. It will be adopted by parents who are desperate to have a child and can't on their own, and everybody's a winner. Yeah, including the child who gets to stay alive. So that's happening now. Christians are doing a good job of that. We need to continue to do a good job. We need to do a better job. And that's one of the things we do as a church. Yeah, is we resource those organizations. We have this $1,500 generosity gift that we give every month to nonprofits in our area, and oftentimes those gifts go towards places that are helping young women who find themselves in this difficult place to say, "Let us help you. Let us walk through this with you and get you to the other side." And make sure that you can not only have this child, but then raise this child and help this child to thrive in life.
Do you know some of them that we've given to? I know Hannah's Treasure Chest is one that helps with moms.
Yep, there's others that are like
Bridget's Path. Is that one?
Bridget's Path is one. Okay. Yep, I can't off the top of my head think there's the Catholic one that we've done some help with as well, and I can't think of the name of that. Yeah. There's one other one in downtown Dayton, and I can't think of the name off the top of my head. But there's some of those. I mean, you don't have to look very hard to find these things. Like if you Google, pregnancy help, right, you're gonna find it.
Okay. So I just want to ask one question because it's automatically where my mind goes on this topic, which is so. What you're saying here is we should value life. Of our kids, and there are options out there. So then does that mean whenever we talk about abortion, there's always the idea of well, what if something happened to that female where she didn't someone forced that upon her or something like that, or the kid's going to have some type of severe disabilities? Is that a totally other topic? Completely detached from this one, or does that land within the same topic of abortion?
Yeah, that's such a good question.
Yeah.
And the answer is both. Uh-huh. So there's two reasons people ask that question. Yeah. One of the reasons is because they're genuinely concerned about those things. Yeah. And the other reason is because they want to dodge the issue. Uh-huh. Right? I don't know how many conversations I've had with people where, I said, abortion is wrong, we're killing kids, that kind of thing. And they immediately...
The first thing is, what if this happens?
Go to, well, what about rape and incest? Uh-huh. What about, it's going to cost the mother her life? And then what about if there's something going on with the child? Right? They immediately go there.
Well, my mind goes there too.
Right. Well, you've been conditioned to do that. Well, we all have.
I mean, just from having kids myself,
sure,
and sitting down in that room in the doc when they put so much effort into looking is that baby healthy? Yeah. Is it developing properly? So I feel like those thoughts naturally go through your mind while you're realizing, oh my gosh, what's it going to be like to be a parent?
Right. So my answer is always the same on that. Yeah. My first answer. Mm-hmm. My first answer is, let's set those things aside for just a second, and let's only talk about the 95% of times, right?
Because that's where I was wondering if you were going to go with it.
5% of it. Let's talk about the 95% of the time when none of that is the case. Right? Can we agree on that? Yeah. That abortion is a bad thing. Generally, that's where the person's intentions come out, right? If they say, oh, yeah, I agree, 95% of the time, so then it's okay. So you'd be okay with us saying 95% of the time abortion is wrong and should be illegal. Mm-hmm. If they're willing to go there with me, now we can go talk about these other things issues. And say, let's walk through these and talk about them. Generally speaking, they won't cede that point. Yeah. They'll stay right there and only want. So to me, I say, okay, I don't argue, and I'm using argue in a good way here. Right. not like fight.
Like logical conclusions.
I don't argue with exceptions.
Yeah.
Let's first set the rule, because if you don't have a rule, you can't have exceptions.
Yeah.
So let's first set what the rule should be. The rule should either be abortion is good or abortion is bad. If abortion is good, those exceptions don't matter. They're good too. If abortion is bad, now we can talk about the exceptions and what they are.
Yeah.
So, and having said that, I would say, I think in all of those cases, it's still the same thing, right? Number one, like in cases of rape or incest, it's still a child. Mm-hmm. It's a horrible way that child came into being, but the sin of the person that did that shouldn't be visited upon the child. And, I get that a woman who experiences that is in a terrible place to try to have a child, and maybe they can't. And we need to do everything we can to resource her and help her heal and provide the resources she needs, because she's got a whole life ahead of her where she's going to have to deal with this. And we need to help her with that. But let's not take it out on the child, right? Let's give the child a chance. The other issue is, what about the health of the mother? Again, I mean, this is a horrible thing, but we're talking like a percentage of a percentage of a percentage of the time. Modern medicine has come a long, long way since 1973, right? 1973 is when Roe v. Wade passed, and this was a big argument then. Well, there's all these cases where, the woman's going to die on childbirth. It still does happen every so often, but most of the time, we can take a child by cesarean section so early now and keep them alive, and they can be healthy and alive. So if we could take a child by cesarean section, there's no valid reason to abort that child. And most pregnancies can be carried far enough to be able to do that. So that's how I would talk about that question. And then the third question is, what about a child? You say, well, this child's going to have a problem. Okay, all right. None of us are perfect, right?
Yeah.
I get that children can be difficult, but most parents of children who have those difficulties would say they're an incredible blessing, right? I absolutely love them. I cannot imagine my life without them. And to, extinguish that child's life just because you don't want to deal with that inconvenience just seems like a horrible thing to me.
Yeah.
So, was I nice enough?
You did a great job.
Okay.
Yeah.
Steve was worried that I wasn't going to be very nice when I talked about this stuff.
What? I was not concerned about that. To me, I will say this. Okay, I know you don't like compliments, but the more difficult the
That's
subject,
the best compliment you've ever given me.
the more difficult the subject, the better job you do.
Well, that's kind.
Yeah.
Not everybody would say that, but I appreciate that you do.
No, because I'm a pastor as well, and I think about these issues that you address, and I think to myself, how would I handle that exact same issue? And I learn a lot from you in those difficult situations, because they're hard to talk about.
Yeah.
Because they're divisive, and I don't always really like being divisive.
Right. Well, I don't think anybody really likes that.
I don't know. I feel like there's some people who might enjoy that.
Maybe.
Compliancy officers or something. I don't know. I'm not sure who, but there's got to be someone who enjoys that. But anyway,
I think you're right.
Does it make you uncomfortable to talk about a topic like this?
Does it make me uncomfortable?
Yeah.
I think there's a degree of discomfort.
Yeah.
Because everybody wants to be liked,
Yeah.
right? And what I don't want is for something to become a divisive issue in our church.
Well, this is not a salvation issue, right?
It is not.
So we tend to not. We try not to be as divisive as we can in
Right.
non-salvation
Yeah.
issues.
This is not a salvation issue because, like Ted Bundy, right? Serial killer.
Yeah.
Could he go to heaven?
Is this a rhetorical question?
No,
or are
I'm
you
asking
me?
you.
I mean, he has the same access to Jesus' salvation as anyone else.
Right. Thief on the cross.
Yeah.
Right. Never did anything good in his life.
Right.
At the end of his life, he gives himself to Jesus. Still doesn't do anything good because he's hanging on a cross and he can't. But Jesus says today.
Yeah.
He doesn't say after you burn off all your bad stuff in purgatory, then you can be with me.
Yeah.
He says today you will be with me in paradise. So there is no. This is not a salvation issue because there is nothing that we can do that takes that away from us. That said, it's a pretty clear issue from God. Thou shalt not kill, right? We're all made in the image of God. Life is precious. All of those things that are clear biblical principles. So we do have to talk about it. But what we want to do is talk about it in a way that is as true to God's word as we can, as relevant to today as we can, and that is helpful and hopeful in a way that says this isn't the end of the story, this isn't the last word, there's hope beyond this wherever you stand on it, and in a way that can unify us as much as possible. So there is discomfort for me because I know that if I talk about a topic like this, there are going to be people who disagree with me, and interestingly, they may agree with me 99% of the time, but this 1% is such a hot topic that it will overrule that other 99%.
Yeah.
And their opinion of me will completely change because I said this. And I know that's true. And so, sure, I don't love that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think my level of discomfort if I don't do it is probably higher.
Do you feel an obligation to talk about it?
Yeah, I do. So I don't want to wade too deeply into politics.
Yeah, sure.
But there's this real
which I think is a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's this real dichotomy for Christians in that as Christians who live in a democratic republic, which is what the United States is, we have the ability to vote. But we should expect to lose most of the time. Because, as Jesus said, broad is the path that leads to destruction, and many are those who are on it. And the narrow way, there are few. So if I'm actually voting the narrow way, I'm going to lose most of the time. So I should expect to lose elections. That doesn't mean I don't try, especially when we're talking about something that is affecting others. So economically, I have some really strong opinions. Like I have some really strong opinions about the best way of doing economics. And I do think that the right economic system leads to less poverty. And so if my argument about economics is I want to help those in poverty, then I should make that argument.
Yeah.
I should get into the public arena for the benefit of those who are living in poverty. This is a case, abortion is a case, we are literally speaking up for those who have no voice. Right? This is what James said true religion is. Those who, speak up for the widows and the orphans. These are the orphans. So I think this is a place where we need to be in the public arena because we are stepping up and you're speaking out for those who can't speak for themselves. That's very different than, should we be in Ukraine or not? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, but that's not the same level of issue,
Yeah.
right? So I'm not gonna vote on that. That's not gonna drive my vote at all.
Yeah.
I'm gonna vote against bail. Yeah.
Okay. Great. Well, it was a little different of a podcast, a little more intense, maybe because of the topic that we had.
But really
today.
good biscuits.
Really good biscuits.
Yeah, I think that's the big surprise of the podcast.
The big surprise is
that Hardee's actually has good biscuits.
Yeah.
And
fairly consistent. Like you said, the last one was a little bit more burnt.
Well, I'm really glad you did this because we travel a lot.
Yeah.
And we drive when we travel, and so we often will stop at a Pilot's or a Love's because Love's have dog parks now. I don't know if you knew that.
I did not know
pretty
that.
Awesome.
That's a great idea.
It is, but some of them are pretty nasty.
Oh gosh! If the restrooms are not good, well, Love's usually have good restrooms.
Love's are good. So now I know when I stop at a Pilot or a Love's and they've got a Hardee's, I can hit up the biscuits.
There you go.
So I'm pretty excited about that. Yeah.
Well, I guess people need to run out. If you're a biscuit person, go out and try them.
So if you get nothing else out of this podcast today,
it's try Hardee's Biscuits.
Hardee's Biscuits.
Yep.
All right. It's kind of funny. You said try Hardee's Biscuits was just kind of like saying try hard.
Try hard.
I thought that was what you're going to be saying.
Try hard.
Like, if you get nothing else, try hard. And that's the end.
And
right?
that's the end.
But that wasn't what you were saying.
Signing out.
All right. Are you going to? Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, and we will see you here next week. Later.